welcome. So thank you guys very much for coming. Excited to do this. Presentation could go the way I talk, 4 to 5 hours straight, so I'm gonna try and really limit it. My clients are like, it's true, right? So I'm gonna try and do my best to not go forever in a day, but I've got a lot of very valuable information for you. I'm also gonna try to not swear too much. I believe swearing is really imperative to life. They are sentence enhancers. It is quality of living, right? But I know there are a couple kids in here, so, oh, she's already got headphones going on in. She's like, sorry, Diego, earmuffs. So I'm gonna do my best. All right, so the title, the last nutrition seminar you will ever need. A little daunting, right? You're like, really? Really? So for the most part, if you apply any of the lessons that you learned today, there's a good chance you never will need anything else again. The reason I say that in kind of like a little segue is that science is ever changing, research is ever developing, there may be new things that come to light, and so therefore, if any fitness, nutrition, any kind of educational professional within this realm gives you an absolute, this is the way nutrition absolutely will be. This is the one and only secret you absolutely must know. You know they're full of shit, right? Because research and science is going to continue to develop. So if anybody is speaking in absolutes, run the other way. So that's why I've got everything compiled into the best research to date, but it will change, right? So an open mind is what a great coach or what a great program should have. So just be aware of that if you're ever listening to stuff. And the reason you're here is there is so much information out there, right? I mean, there's just so much stuff. So I'm trying to break it down and make it easy. So my goal for you today is just to take away one actionable thing, just one. Because I'm sure you've been to work seminars, retreats, all these different things. I know I've been to a million that are both fitness-related, business-related, masterminds, and you're like, whoa, like whether it was an hour or whether it was a 3-day experience, you gain all this stuff, and you go home, and you're in the middle of the weekend, and you do nothing. You apply nothing, right? I only know from my personal experience with that. Gone to $3,000 weekends just for fitness, business, masterminds, and then I get home, and there's so much in there, right, that I'm a little bit mind effed, right? So you're doing better, I'm doing better. But I just want you to take one actionable thing. So when it comes up, write it down, throw it in your phone, whatever you need to do so that you make sure you're leaving with one thing today, all right? So what do you need to know? Because you're probably here thinking my nutrition sucks, I'm not consistent, I'm a failure. No, you're freaking awesome because you're here. I'm awesome, and I'm just gonna upgrade my awesome. That's why our tagline is upgrade my awesome, right? That's all you're trying to do. You're an awesome human being because you're willing to invest time and energy into yourself so that you can contribute back to the community, so that you can be better mothers, better fathers, better spouses, better brothers, better sisters, just better human beings. You're freaking awesome. We're just gonna upgrade it a little bit and learn to apply as many lessons as possible. So life is about human expansion, right? And I'll probably end up doing a weekend-long talk on that eventually, but this is what we're going with on nutrition. You just need to remember you're awesome, apply one thing, and life will get better, right? Don't get bogged down. Cool? Cool. So who is this guy? A guy with a bunch of random certs, random things. All you really need to know is I'm a certified sexy and inappropriate bastard. I did certify myself. And it's true. But my favorite thing, that's why it's got the little asterisks on there, mainly because I like to use a word that has the word ass in it. But dedicated father and husband, that's my joy. So yeah, that's what matters to me. But why am I here? Because America kind of sucks right now, right? 69% of Americans overweight, 39% obese, 18%, it just goes on and on and on, and all the repercussions are really scary. All-time high of cancer, all-time high of diabetes, all-time high, all-time high, all-time high. What is also at an all-time high? Knowledge and information and access to it. And yet we're all here. Every answer you need for fitness and nutrition is there, and yet we're all here, right? So what we need is actionable steps, the next step, right? So that's why I'm here. But let's do a test, just to really test this. Just tell me, good or bad. Broccoli? Good. Cool. Fish? Good. Chicken? Good. Brussels sprouts? Good. Zucchini? Good. Cookies? Good. I heard tasty, that was brilliant. Ice cream? Good. Right? So you guys know everything. You're good to go. See you later. Okay? But let's talk about the one thing that you shouldn't eat. Because I do want to make this simple. I know a couple people have to leave early, and so this has to get out there ASAP. Because you guys already know what's good and bad. right? You know what choices to make. It's just maybe taking those actionable items. But there is one food that unfortunately is incorporated into so much stuff that it actually is making us fat, sick, obese, like it is causing a lot of problems. Anybody want to guess what that may be?
Sugar.
Heard sugar for the majority. Anything else?
Salt.
Salt. Anything else? Wheat.
Sweeteners.
Sweeteners. Artificial sweeteners. Cool. Onions.
What?
Shocking, right?
Yes.
Let's actually think about it for a second. When you cut an onion in half, it makes you cry. It actually has toxins within it that makes you cry. It's a poison, and we want to actually put it in our systems. And we eat out more than ever before. What is one of the #1 most ingredients that is used in all the foods that we eat out to bring out flavor, even in small amounts?
Salt.
Onion. Okay, so remember how I said if anybody speaks in absolutes with nutrition and fitness that they're full of shit? Onions are fine. Onions are great. Onions don't make you fat. I gave you my own advice, and you turned around and didn't believe it. Although some of you are like doing this the moment I said onions, so kudos to the few of you that were like that. But that's how simple and how easily we are manipulated the world of nutrition and fitness. Right? Cool. All I had to do was connect with you, build a little bit of clout, and I sold you on some onions. Eat onions all you want, okay? I promise you. So now we're a little bit better. Okay, we got through the oh shit moment. We remember we're awesome, and we're just gonna upgrade our awesome. But the reason is we live in this I want it now society. Like, I want it now. Cool. Amazon. Click. I want it now. Netflix. Cool. Video streaming. Boom. Everything we want. Next day shipping. Even Starbucks, you just click a button, show up, and your drink is ready for you. Everything is I want it now. So, of course, even though we've put the pounds on over 20 years, we're like, I want it now. Fad diet. Next thing. That'll work. Cool. Sign me up. No onions? I got this. Right? Instant gratification. We live in a society of instant gratification, so we have to change our mindset about this entire process a little bit, and we're definitely going to be talking a lot about the neuroscience behind things and how the brain manipulates the mind. They are two separate things, and within all of that. Because the reality is that diets do work. They do. But diets also fail. Well, what do you mean? Well, diets work until they don't. Right? They work to help you lose weight, but not necessarily to help you build a long-term lifestyle that you're after. So there's nothing wrong with even using the word diet. If you're eating a certain way, it's a diet. Whether it's healthy, whether it's unhealthy, whether it's optimal, whether it's not optimal, it's still a form of a diet. It doesn't really matter. But it's the problem that they work until they don't, right? And we can all stay on a diet. How many people have lost weight before? Sweet. 95% of you, maybe even more. Or the people writing were the last 5%, myself included. How many people have then gained weight back after losing weight? It's not that diets don't work, it's that we can't stick to them, right? It's not applicable, it's not realistic, and that's why diets actually make you fat. So let's break that down. How do diets actually make you fat? That doesn't make sense. It's called metabolic damage, or metabolic adaptation is the full terminology, right? So it's the results of chronic dieting. It's where you go up, you go down, you go up, you go down, you go up, you go down, right? There's some details over there, signs and symptoms. You may have some of these, but that could also just because you had a baby 9 months ago and he decided to be awake from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. Is that correct, April? 2 a.m. to 4 a.m.? That's what I thought, right? So it could be that's the reason that you have lack of energy and different things. But these are some scary things from doing this yo-yo diet. And let me explain better how it makes you fat. So I love Oprah. So she's an awesome lady. She does amazing, amazing things. She's a pioneer in so many areas. So this is not an attack on her. It's just that she's open and she's got a great story about it, and it's very detailed in public. That's what happens when you're out in the public, right? So chronologically, she lost some weight, lost a lot of weight, got bigger, lost a lot of weight, got bigger, and now she's kind of stabilized. This is that yo-yo diet which creates that metabolic damage. So let's actually look at it. She actually started out at 125 pounds, and she was stable there like when she was a lot younger. She went up to 140. Okay, after about a year and a half, went up to 140. She went on a 1,200 calorie diet. Woo, it worked. Back down to 125, score, right? I'm right back where I started, I'm good. The moment she got off of that, she boosted up to 212. Then she got on a liquid diet. Sure, just drink my way to heaven. I got this. Dropped down to 145. Couldn't even get down to that 125 this time around. Then after that, after she stopped wanting to suck down her life, she got up to 247. Her biggest ever. And so she decided to hire a chef, to hire a trainer, try things differently. It was much more modern with the times. And it worked. She got all the way down to 160. And now she's stabilized right around the 200s. I don't have the exact number. None of that's public. But there's kind of a disparity between 125 and 200. And maybe that's where she's comfortable, and maybe that's where things are good. But let's understand why the dieting has actually caused her to do that. Metabolic damage. So when we're looking at how your body does stuff, it's actually lean body mass. So lean body mass is the amount of muscle mass that your body has. I'm giving you all this information so hopefully we can break some bad habits and cycles. So don't freak out, we're not talking nutrition yet. Right? But your lean muscle mass is basically what your lean body mass is in essence. Okay? So my numbers here are just a guesstimation. I'm just throwing some stuff, and I made it really simple by using the number 100 just to make it easy. These are not true calculations. These are not exact by any means. I would have to have been testing her body fat and a few other measurements throughout her entire history to know this, but I'm giving you a very possible realization. So what this means is if she weighed 125 pounds when she started out, 100 pounds of her body was actually good stuff, right? So that means that was muscle mass, bone mass, all that good stuff that you need. And you do need fat in order to survive. It goes without saying. We need fat. That's how we live. So let's say 100 pounds of her was the good stuff. Lean body mass. Well, she went up to 140 pounds. Now, has anybody tried to really bulk up and put muscle mass on? It's more of a guy thing typically than women, but has anybody really tried to get strong and put on muscle? A few of you, right? It takes a long, long time. It is really hard to put on muscle mass. That's why they have the skinny hard gainers, the tiny guys that really, really try and they pack in 6,000 calories and they still can't bulk up, right? So when you're going up, the thing that gets built up really easily is fat. It's really hard to put on muscle. It takes a lot of time and energy, and it has to be done right. So the only thing that went up was her fat. She went up to 140. She stabilized at 100 pounds of lean body mass. But then when you go dieting and you start restricting your calories, when you're restricting your calories, your lean body mass is naturally possibly going to go down as well, right? And so if you're losing a little bit of muscle mass as you're dieting, because you're not probably eating enough calories to sustain it, because you're cutting everything, you're not probably strength training enough, right? Any of these factors. So she probably dropped down her lean body mass, the good stuff, to 95. Well, now that she's carrying less, she's not going to have the same metabolism. For every 1 pound of muscle you have on your body, you typically burn 50 calories every single day based on that 1 pound, right? So the more muscle mass you have, the better your metabolism is because muscle burns calories. So that way you can eat more and you can burn more, which is why strength training, resistance training is so imperative for long-term health and staying lean. So therefore, she dropped down. Well, now remember, lean body mass is really hard to get up. So when she ballooned up to 212, her body just wanted to get back to her happy lean body mass set point. That's where it wants to get to. But it probably took her going from 125 to 212 just to get that last 5 pounds of muscle mass back. Because that's where the body wanted to be. And then it stabilized at 212. It really did. It stabilized there. She could probably live there. It's called the set point. And then she went on this really restricted liquid diet. So now she just shot it down even more. So now it's dropped down to 90. Right? And we get this yo-yo effect as we chronically just destroy the lean muscle mass, lean body mass within our systems and end up with this huge disparity, and your metabolism is now far slower and it's a lot harder, not impossible, but a lot harder to start to bring that up and close the gap. Because now you got to cut, but you also got to build muscle mass. So that's where we get this effect of yo-yo dieting and why it's so important just to develop some simple habits to be consistent instead of going through phases of cut and drop, cut and drop, cut and drop. All right, so let's get into a little bit of the nitty-gritty. Hormones, because I promised I'd talk about it. I could do a full day on each one of these. I won't, because Miles didn't want to hear that. That's why. He just made the noise, okay? But it's all about the dosage, right? Hormones aren't good or bad. We need them. So they are good, and there are some bad implications of them, right? So we're just going to talk about the main four just a little bit. You probably know about cortisol because everybody's talking about it these days. But cortisol is actually a good thing. Everyone thinks it's just the stress hormone, and yes, it is caused by stress, but remember we have good stress, bad stress. So it's the fight or flight. So we want that to kick in when we need to be heightened aware when a bear is going to attack us. I don't know why a bear is going to attack you, but wherever you are, doing whatever you are, that's pretty awesome. So, but it gives you a little bit of boost right before you're going to do a heavier lift. And your mind goes, oh man, I don't know if I can lift this. Everybody who's been in this gym has probably experienced that to some point. I want to try that weight. I'm going to give it a shot, right? A little bit of cortisol probably got released in your system. It's a good thing. It's only bad when it becomes a constant state of elevation within your system. So when cortisol is like constantly there, you're constantly stressed out, constantly anxious, right? Shallow breath, that's where it becomes a problem. That's where it can actually damage your system. So how do you revert this? Sleep a little bit more, nap, meditate, deep breathe, enjoy nature, resistance training, walk, pattern interrupts. You're just trying to release any of that excess energy out of your system and break that cycle and pattern. When you're stressed out, especially at work, you're probably hunkered down and you're breathing really shallow. And you're probably not even functioning that well. You're not even thinking clearly. And in reality, you'd probably create more time for yourself, more clarity by getting up out of the chair, taking 5 deep breaths. You actually start breathing properly again, right? Getting oxygen flowing throughout your entire system. Go walk, look at some trees, and then come back, right? Getting some more sleep. Taking a 20-minute nap can lower your cortisol level by up to 20% in that current time frame. A 20-minute nap, right? So sneaking those types of things in. Leptin, the other one, it's actually your anti-starvation hormone. It's what keeps you from starving because it's like reminding your body, like, hey, we need some fat, we don't need some fat. It's reminding your body where it's at so that it can start feeding off of some stuff. So it actually decreases your hunger when you're not eating, right? So it's actually what can change how your body is making up on some stuff. And so how do you adjust that? You enjoy strategic reset meals. This is why diets are horribly hard to stick to. Because you like, I just got all these cravings and I'm hungry and I haven't had anything in a really long time. So that's why you gotta actually enjoy that. It actually changes everything. It releases some chemicals in your brain which says, oh, this is awesome, I'm feeling good again. So enjoy that reset meal. I don't say cheat meal because I don't think you're cheating anything. I just think you're mostly just resetting your mindset more than anything, and you're resetting your body, which is this one. Again, I'm not gonna go too much into these because this isn't really gonna help you. I just wanna give you a little bit of baseline understanding. All right, ghrelin is my favorite because it sounds like gremlin. It's really the only reason. But it's the hunger hormone, aka the snack attacks. So those people that are like, I just got these snacks. Like, I need to snack all the time. Like, I feel like I need to eat all the time. Here's the thing, you've trained your body to think it needs that. So it's actually released in your pancreas, in your stomach, in your brain. It's released all over. And it's kind of this patterned loop chemical, right? So it's the hormone that thinks you need to eat because you've trained your body and timed your body to eat consistently at those times. Now, if you train your body to not eat until noon, you probably don't wake up hungry, right? People say breakfast is an important meal of the day. That's also full of shit. It doesn't really matter, right? It doesn't matter when you eat as much as it matters what you're eating and how much you're eating, okay? Like, I didn't eat breakfast this morning until 9 o'clock. Works well for me, right? I'll usually coach all morning and then eat. I enjoy it. It's better, okay? So it doesn't matter. But if I've programmed my system that the first thing I do is eat in the morning, then my body's gonna wanna eat first thing in the morning. So if you've programmed your body to wanna eat every 2 hours, well, we're not all bodybuilders that are working out and eating perfectly portioned sizes. You're probably not gonna make the best choices, right? So that's why ghrelin is so important. So it's just breaking those things down, so developing a schedule that works for you, that's maintainable, so that you're not like in this constant state of I'm hungry when in reality you're not. Maybe throwing in an intermittent fasting day, right? So you're actually teaching your body what hunger is, right? So you actually know what hunger is. Like, let's go to Africa and really learn what hunger is. Like, we're a little screwed up here in the United States, right? Okay? So that's why this one's important. And then last one, insulin, which is like really popular. Everybody kind of knows about insulin these days just because we have so many cases of diabetes. And really, people think it's just like sugar, like just related to sugar, and there is a lot goes on with that, sugars and carbohydrates, and you just need to cut those. But basically, it just means that when you're having consistently too much or consistently throughout the days, you're going through these spikes, which is just really hard on your system, and you're slowly making your system more and more insulin resistant, which means for it to utilize it, you have to have more of it, right? Which is why, like, I don't have the energy, I'm not satisfied, I'm not full, so now I need 2 burgers with double buns and whatever it may be, right? So that's the problem. So we need to be as sensitive to insulin as possible so that we do have it, like, it's like, whoa, like I can actually feel just that little bit, okay? So we're gonna get into more of these things. So I've given you a lot of stuff, but I kind of want to go into a little bit more understanding this way. Power plant, the village, and you. So there's this power plant, right? It's producing all these major things, but it was slowly leaking some chemicals into the water that went down to the village. and all the villagers got sick. So they said, you know what, we gotta fix this. Something's gotta happen. So they treated all the water, poured in a bunch more chemicals, it neutralized it, everything looked good, tests were great, but they still were getting sick. So they thought, what else are we gonna do? So they had the town build a dam. They built a dam that completely blocked the water, but it was still filtering through the dam when they let it through. So they kept getting sick. And in reality, it wasn't the water, it wasn't building the dam, it was going to the source, right? You've gotta treat the source. It's not what you eat necessarily, it's not what your stomach is craving, it's the source as to why we're eating what we're eating and how often we're eating and why we feel triggered and why we feel that emotional connection to food that we need to go to in order to change our habits and actually learn to adapt. So we've got to treat the source, because this is probably pretty common. I'm craving. I got this urge. All I want, whatever it is, insert whatever it is for you, right? My thing is ice cream. Like, I love ice cream. If my body liked it and would do it and it didn't hurt me, I'd probably eat ice cream 3-4 times a day, right? As opposed to once a week. But that's what my little craving thing is. And really, it's deceptive brain messages. Okay, so your brain is telling you, I've got this craving for it. It's a thought, it's an urge, or it's a desire that happens. But we need to actually look past that, because it's just an emotional response to that thought of like, the only way I'm gonna fix this craving is to eat something salty right now. Like, that's the only way it's gonna go away. And then I fight the urge, and push off until I run out of willpower, and then I eat all of it instead of just one serving, right? And it's the thought that drives the habitual and usually unhealthy response, right? So it's that thought, something triggers, and we need to look back instead of just going for monetary relief and understanding why we're doing that instead. Because, like, I love when people are like, well, just don't think about it. Okay, right? Like, it's just not possible. You have a lot of thoughts a day. How many? About 80,000 thoughts per day, okay? Up to 95% are repetitive. They just go. When you got in your car to drive here, you probably didn't think, now I need to take the key and I need to turn the car and now I need to put, like, you just go. It's all repetitive, it's built in, it's habits, it's habitual with what you do, right? And that's most of the stuff. But the sad thing is the majority of our thoughts are negative. Just goes without saying. Now, a lot of that can be continually trained and developed. It's just where we go. It goes back to our fight or flight, always on edge, primitive state of I need to survive. We just live in a different environment where that isn't the case anymore, still where our brain likes to go, right? So you can't control your thoughts. If I tell you don't think about elephants, right now you just thought about elephants. You couldn't control that from happening. So we don't need to control the thoughts. The thoughts are what drive the urge, which drives the craving or whatever the desire is, but we need to control the repetitive behavior that's within that pattern, right? Because these are the majority of thoughts that a lot of people have throughout the day based on whatever happens. I'm not good enough. I had a bad project. Oh, I should have done this. Oh, I shouldn't have eaten this. Right? There are all these things. I'm crazy. I'm sick. I'm not as good as comparing work, other people, seeing somebody post at the gym that they checked in for the 3rd time that week, and you're like, crap, I haven't checked in since last year, or whatever the case may be. Comparing, right? And it's so easy and it's natural, right? Like, I own this place, I open this place, and I've got some guys that can outpress me by 3 times the weight. I celebrate it, but there's that thought that sometimes like, I should be able to do that, right? And then there's a comparison, don't worry, I can out deadlift them, right? And then I step back and go, they're just my thoughts. They're not my reality, right? And you have to be able to start to separate the two. But these are the devastating things that when they go, and they start to beat down on you, wear down on you, well, what are you going to do? You're going to go to your habitual response, which is usually an unhealthy one, which may be shoving everything in your mouth, right? For me, it may be just like compressing and be like, well, screw this, I'm going to work for the next 16 straight hours, teen no sleep, straight hustle. That's where my brain goes, right? That's where I want to go. That's my device that I have to continually to work on, which is why I have a team of coaches that I embark upon and go meet with every single week. So it's whatever works for you. But that's the reality. But there's this difference, brain versus the mind. So remember, the brain sends you thoughts. It's just this thing up here. We can't control it. But the mind is your conscious ability to choose how you focus your attention. Right? So it's what you do with those thoughts that really matters. And so you just got to remember, you're not your brain. You are not your thoughts. I am worthless. I am stupid. I should have done this. You are not those thoughts. That's just your brain. You are your conscious mind. You are the effort you put forward. You are where you decide to choose. So that's why I say you can't choose your thoughts, but you can choose what you focus your attention on, right? So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. It comes down to Hebb's law, right? So unfortunately, neurons that fire together wire together. So all this means, has anybody ever heard of the habit loop? Like a lot of people within workplaces know of a habit loop. So a habit loop means we've got some kind of trigger, then we get some kind of cue, then we get the reward. So a lot of times it's within sales, like we've got the trigger of somebody interested, so we give them the cue of what to buy, and then they get the reward of having it and we get paid, and it goes in this little cycle. Or for us, a lot of times it's, I have this trigger of I've got this coworker that's driving me nuts, all of a sudden I'm feeling like I need something salty because I'm stressed out and I'm anxious about the project, or I need chocolate, luckily it's always at the front desk in the little bowl, right? And then I go get my reward. The neurons that fire together wire together. So it's grouping within that pattern that is the habitual response. When I get stressed, I get candy. I get stressed, I get candy. I get stressed, I get candy. So we've got to be able to step back just a loop, step out of it and say, why am I getting stressed? Why am I getting anxious? Why am I getting angry? Like how many people have wanted to like punch someone in the face full on this week? Mostly me, okay. Okay, I have some tactics. I do what's called a shift move. When I feel like you see me run out and do like 5 burpees, it's to protect other people because I don't want to go to prison, right? Miles does not need a dad that's in prison, so. But we have these things, right? Trigger, cue, reward. And what we need to do is simply change what that reward is. Because we can't change necessarily our habits, but we can replace them with better ones. So for me, it's go outside and do a shift move. That is my change. Go outside and go for a walk. At home, when I'm working on like major projects, and I'm like jamming the computer and I'm like just smashing away, and then an email comes up and I'm like, ah! I literally go outside and go for a walk. Whether it's take miles, I even did a little video on it like a week ago, right? It's break that cycle. Because if you don't break that cycle and start to replace it with a different habit, it's wired in. So we have to change that in some way, shape, or form. Otherwise, it's not going to go anywhere. So honestly, this is like, if you take away this, you could change your entire life more than even the nutrition stuff. Because the nutrition stuff comes from up here, right? So I challenge you this week, because awareness precedes change. It's one of my favorite things. You have to be aware of these things first. So the next time all of a sudden you're craving something, and you're like, oh my gosh, all I want to do is eat all the chocolate cake, drink all the wine in the world, right? Go live under a rock and never see another human being again, right? So it's time to step back and be like, analyze my thoughts. Like, where is this coming from? What was the trigger? What was that uncomfortable situation? And what is my habitual response? And then what is my new habitual response going to be in that circumstance? You've got to break the loop. Because honestly, I could give you a nutrition plan, I could give you a diet plan, I could give you the most accountability in the entire world, and it'll never matter until we start to actually break down some of these things. That's why it's so imperative, right? This is the stuff that like people like big shredded like Tom, whoever, will get up there and tell you like, this is what we're gonna do. This is the meal plan. You're gonna drop 20 pounds in 6 weeks. Sweet, and then you're screwed again, right? Oprah Paradox, and we didn't really fix anything. We actually made things worse. So unfortunately, my industry is full of a lot of shit. All right, so upgrade the loop. This is exactly what we just talked about, but it's determining that trigger so you can reframe, refocus, and upgrade, and just look for opportunities then to avoid it in the future. So maybe it's like, yep, time for a new job because this just doesn't work out for me, or it's time to cut this coworker loose, like actually grow a pair and have a crucial conversation with my spouse and say, I'm not getting what I need, but I know that means I'm not delivering what I need and what you need, so I know there's some miscommunication. Like there's a lot of pieces that can happen in this, and it's the action you're willing to take that will change things for your life for the better, okay? So let's actually get into nutrition, since it is a nutritional seminar and we haven't even talked about it. That's what's awesome, right? There's 3 levels, and this all comes from Precision Nutrition, which is officially the world's largest nutrition program, right? So they kind of know what they're doing, 100% backed by science, used in schools, like at the PhD level. They're phenomenal. And so we use as our system. So they've got people categorized into 3 main levels. You've got level 1, people who are new or new to being consistent to eating well, which honestly is probably about 80% of people. is maybe you know everything, right? We talked about that. You already know, like broccoli versus ice cream. So you know everything. You know you can eat onions, you're good. And then, then there's people who maybe have more of a basic understanding and they're more consistent and they just need some fine tuning and they're ready for that. It's a smaller number, right? I'm only working with 6 people on that right now out of our entire gym. It's only the people that are ready for that, okay? And then there's level 3, who are people who are eating the right things in the right amounts, in the right ways, and then you're just fine tuning. And I only have one client like that. He's John Hanna, if you're curious, right? And he was the only guy I've ever been able to get to that level. I'm not at that level, right? I'm consistently a 1 to 2. Guaranteed. Sometimes I just focus on the habits. Other times I dial it in a little bit more. This is really only if you're getting like shredded for a competition, a specific sport that you need to train for. We think we're at that level and we think we want hardcore details and hardcore accountability, but we're not there, right? So just to let you know. So let's talk about habits, because this is a crucial part. Comes from The Power of Less, which is a phenomenal book, but it's a great research study. If I give you one habit and one habit only to focus on, your chance of success in sustaining that for the rest of your life is 85%. Not even 100%. So here's my great little analogy. I'm a dentist, your teeth are disgusting, they're rotting, they're falling out. Sorry about that if anybody has teeth like that in here. But give you a little habit. Say brush your teeth every day. Just once a day. Just start doing that because you haven't done that for the last 20 years. Okay, 85% of success could come from this. 85% chance, just from brushing your teeth. Now I'm a little bit more rigid of a dentist, and I'm like, brush your teeth and floss every day. 2 habits. Nope. Your chance of success drops to 35%. 2 habits. 3 habits. Brush teeth, floss, mouthwash. 10% or less. So we want to start at the beginning of the year. All right, we're going to work out 4 days a week. Cool. And then we're going to go jogging on the other days. Great. Now what we're going to do is we're going to overhaul our entire nutrition plan, but we're going to get to sleep. For once, we're getting our sleep in control. We've got this, okay? We're definitely going to upgrade our friends. This is going to be good. The wife and the hubby, we're going out on date night every single week. This is going to be great. It's going to be the best year. This is my year, all for me. 1%, right? 1%. That's the reality of it. Too much. Because just to do fitness, which is why everybody comes in here, for the most part, I'm like, even if they do a challenge or whatever, they just do fitness the first week. Just show up, right? Right, Rachel? She's in our current nutrition and challenge, fitness challenge, right? First week, no, I'm not giving you any nutrition stuff. Just show up first. Because to show up, you probably had to leave work early, which means you had to pack your lunch, which means you had to get up earlier, which means the night before, right? There's like all these things. So it's really 10 habits for everyone. So you're telling me you want to add 40 new habits to your life and you've got kids, a spouse, like your spouse is probably the biggest headache out of them all, right? And then she left, so we're good. But you get what I'm saying? Right? So that's why habits matter. So let's just go into simple nutrition. I'm going to give you the simple stuff first, then I'm going to give you the more hardcore detailed stuff later. But when it comes to simple nutrition, we like to follow the 80-20 rule for most people. If you can follow the 80-20 rule, then we take you to the 90-10 rule. And that really just means that 80% of the time, you're going to eat well. You're going to eat that stuff that you guys already labeled and yelled out was good, was healthy. And I really don't want to say food is good or bad, because food is just fuel. Like, the moment we stop categorizing it as bad, we can enjoy it without the repercussions that it's going to, like, mind F us, right? It's just fuel. We're just choosing different fuels. But 80% of the time, if we're just eating the good stuff, we're going to be okay. We're going to continue to drop weight, to lean out. When we're ready for a little bit more, we go 90% of the time, and only 10% of the time, we eat the more enjoyable, less healthy options, right? And a lot of people I know are writing stuff down. If you want, like, we're going to post this whole thing, and I'll get the slides up there too. We'll do it on the blog. So the video even will be accessible again for you too. Take notes on the one thing you need to take away with. Like, that's my crucial thing for you. Don't write everything down and go away with nothing. Because you're awesome, we're just upgrading it, okay? So let's break it down. So what does it look like? First thing, slow down. Second thing, protein. Third thing, veggies. Fourth thing, starchy carbs. Fifth thing, eat healthy. All right, sixth thing, drink 0 calories. Let's break them down a little bit more. Slow down. So your stomach is kind of like your second brain. It just is a little slower, right? It's just a little slower. It's like your first couple times at the gym where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not moving as fast as everybody else, right? I don't understand. I didn't realize. It's just going to take some time. So your stomach usually takes about 15 minutes minimum. I like to say 20 because it's more reality. There's a lot of studies that say 15, some say 30. But to even realize that it's full. And like April's my prime example. I remember when we were dating and she was like, had to get to class, and it was like 11:25, and she had to be there by 12, and she ate an entire Chipotle burrito in 4 minutes and still made it into class. I was like, good God, girl, I'm gonna marry you, right? So, we eat so fast, right? Think about Thanksgiving dinner. Like Thanksgiving dinner, I do it strategically. Like I kind of have this challenge every year. It's a little bit wrong, but I try and see how many calories I can put down during Thanksgiving. Last year was 5,500 just in like that Thanksgiving dinner meal. I felt horrible. It was awesome. So it's just a good reminder to not overeat. One day to like kind of remind you. So, but our stomachs don't even realize we're full until 20 minutes. So you can put down a lot of food, and then all of a sudden we don't even know what full feels like anymore. We've trained our brain to think we're full like when we're actually overly full. And we've also trained it then to like eat salty because I was stressed out and I ingrained that Hebe's law, that pattern, those neurons. So now I'm like overeating, eating the stuff that wouldn't be good for me, doing it way too often, right? So just try and slow down your eating. If you have the capability, turn on a TV show and try and time it to that. Just slow down. If you just slowed down your eating, you'd eat less. It's as simple as that, all right? Second thing is portion control. Now for women, you do get less portion sizes if it's for fat loss than men in most cases, just because you carry less body muscle overall than men, right? So men carry more muscle mass in general, and muscle obviously burns more calories. So that's why men get more calories overall and can sustain that. But we use the hand to determine our portions, because when you go to a restaurant, when you go to a friend's house, they serve you something, you can easily use your hand to determine sizes. Right? I make the joke about like the guy who breaks out his like scale to weigh the chicken, and then he breaks out his calculator and he's like typing it in, and he's like sweet sitting there at the restaurant. Everybody's looking at him like, what the heck? Like they're gonna start drinking more because this guy's so crazy. But that's the reality. Like, do you want to be actually typing stuff into an app the rest of your life? Do you actually want to be, you know? Like it doesn't make sense. For a small phase of time to get a good understanding, it can be extremely valuable. But this works for life, and that's what it's all about. So we'll go through it. So protein, size of your palm. Because your hands are usually in direct proportion to your body, right? Your height, everything like that. I'm pretty sure Shaq does not have the same size hand as like 5'1" Lydia, right? Shaq probably has a bigger hand, probably gets more food. So palm size, 2 for men, 1 for women. But that's what it is. It's about 4 ounces of protein. And then really it doesn't matter what protein sources you're having. I listed them in order from like good to like maybe not as ideal for you, but it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're vegetarian or not. As long as you're getting protein in your system, you're gonna sustain yourself. You're gonna build that muscle mass. You're gonna burn more calories. And here's the thing about protein. It's extremely thermogenic. And it's just why this is the first thing I focus on with you eating once we focus on slowing down. Thermogenic meaning 25 to 35% of the calories from protein that goes into your system is actually burned up during the digestion phase. Carbs, not so much, right? So like eating protein actually does burn calories. You ever heard of the meat sweats? That's what they're joking about. That's where that actually comes from, right? Because you're burning some of those calories. And if we don't have enough protein going into our system, and like currently with the online challenge that I'm doing for the 6 women, and they're at that higher level to do that, all of them were under eating protein by at least 50%. It shocked me. Right? And we're not getting enough protein, we're not sustaining our system, we're not going to stay full, we're not going to get the calories we need, we're under eating, we're damaging our system. Protein's crucial, right? So palm size every meal. Veggies. This is where you get your micronutrients, your vitamins, your minerals, your nutrients. And you should honestly be having about 8 servings of veggies a day. Nice thing is you have a salad, it's probably like 4, right? All loaded up in there, and just get a good variety. It doesn't really matter what. But if you're not getting that, you're not getting enough vitamins, nutrients, and minerals in your system, not getting enough fiber, which can make a difference, right? And it starts affecting some stuff. So just load up on the veggies. You can't go wrong, okay? And fruit is great. We just recommend an average of like 1 piece of fruit for every 5 servings of veggies, just because it is a little bit more higher in sugar naturally and stuff like that. But hey, if you're switching out one thing, right? Say you're just like, I'm gonna not eat fruit with every meal, and instead I'm gonna eat fruit with 3 out of my 7 meals today, or 3 out of my 4 meals, whatever it is for you, I'd be happy. Because you're already upgrading your awesome to some level that's sustainable for you. Okay. Then after that, we can start working on the starchy carbs. It's kind of humbling, but take a hand, level it off, don't pile it to the mountain. I don't know, I could probably get like 3 loaves of bread to balance if I wanted. Like, cool! But that's what you need in your system. For guys, it's 2, right? If your goal is to lose fat, once a day. If you're getting enough of the protein and enough of the veggies, right? You'd be surprised how quickly we add in all this extra starchy carbs, breads, rice, pasta, grains, oats, any of those things, and then it's just excess calories, which unfortunately stores as fat because we're not using it as fuel. It's a very fast-burning fuel. Protein is a slow-burning fuel, right? And so it just sits there. So we just overeat that a lot, okay? Then we're gonna go fats. Fats are another important one, but it's so easy to overeat that too because it's really thumb size or 2 thumb size for men. So we look at those little like almond packs, you know, and they're 200 calories, not a big deal, right? You can fit 200 calories in your daily easily. But it's a lot of healthy fat. People are like, oh, it's a protein. Yeah, but it's a very small amount of protein. It's not nearly what you're thinking, okay? And all of a sudden we have that, and then we have like a half of an avocado when we really probably only needed a quarter, and then we had oil on our dressing. Oh, and then we had eggs with all the yolks. Not a big deal. It's great. It's healthy, right? But you had that. Oh, we had a scoop of peanut butter. Oh, we had... Just adds up really, really quickly. And if we go out to a restaurant, cooking with oils, injecting like chicken actually with fat soluble to make it taste better, Cheesecake Factory is known for that. All their chicken is injected with a salt fat soluble. You probably won't eat there now anymore. I'm sorry if I ruined it for you. Just have the cheesecake on your reset meal. You'll be good. But that's the reality, and that's why like we eat out, and like there's so many hidden calories, so many hidden fats, so many hidden things, right, that can affect. Okay? So again, you're only gonna focus on one of these right now. But beverages, all these like salt-filled, sugar-filled, like, oh, it's healthy. Is it really? Like, oh, it's a green smoothie. Yeah, but it has like 100 grams of sugar in it and it's 400 calories. Is it really that healthy? I drink a green smoothie every day, right? It's either homemade with nothing added. It's just good stuff. Spinach, 1 serving of fruit, and my spinach is like a full cup of spinach, right? Protein powder, blend it up, good to go. I don't add any kind of sugar, anything. That's the way I like it. But if you need to add a little bit of something else and then work towards it, awesome. Go for it, okay? But you're trying to avoid these. But maybe for you, it's like, I love my coffee. So sweet. Maybe just dial down the amount of sugar and half or whatever it is that's going in there. Just cut, you know? Just adjust. So, putting it all together. This is really what your plate should look like if we're looking at it. So anytime meal, this is why I love PN. Now it can be all blended up. It doesn't mean to be like, here's my tilapia and here's my steamed broccoli. I'm gonna eat like this the rest of my life. I don't know why you have to talk like that, but apparently you do. But that's what your plate should look like, right? Water, tea, coffee, that's your drink. It's not sugar loaded, you're healthy, you're good. Protein, again, it's palm size, so it's probably about a 1/4 of your plate. Fats, thumb size, you're good. And then the rest should just be veggies and maybe like a piece of fruit depending on where you're at, okay? And then after you work out, you do earn those starchy carbs. So maybe that's a little bit extra, and you probably want a little more protein since you've actually torn down some muscle fibers and you need to build them back up, fuel them up, right? Simple, but it's just picking one of those for right now that you need to focus on. Or you could pick 3 and have 10% chance of being successful. Don't forget that. You're still awesome, you're just upgrading it, okay? So questions, what behavior will I focus on? That's what you gotta pick right now. Which one of those do I want to focus on? Which one of those things is going to be my primary focus, my only focus? The nice thing is you'll probably change some of the other ones just because you're consciously focused on one and you're not stressed out about having to focus on the other ones. That's the beauty of it, right? You've given yourself permission to not stress about the other ones, and all of a sudden you start working on them subconsciously, okay? And then you got to ask yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being 100% confident, or at least 90% confident, how certain am I that I'm going to be able to execute all the time on this habit? So if I say I'm going to have protein with every meal, okay, but I already know that I'm used to having like just a banana in the morning for breakfast, a salad without anything on it for lunch, and then at night I have like burger and fries and I just go crazy and I drink a bottle of wine, right? So that means I'm having 1 serving of protein a day, and now I'm going to take it to 3. Am I 100% confident that I can do that? On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably be like, I'm a 7. I think I can do it, but I'm not quite there. Adjust it. Now you need to lower it because it's too hard and you're not gonna stick to it, or you're gonna like stumble and then get frustrated and then go back to, I'm worthless. You're not, you're awesome, right? And so then we just need to regress it. I'm gonna have protein with just 2 servings a day. How confident am I on a scale of 10? You know what, I'm like a 9. Sweet, go for it. Because now you'll get the win. And the win will build and give you the momentum that you actually need. That's how we're gonna change long term. So that's the crucial question. Ask yourself that question with anything that you're working on. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident am I that I can maintain this? right? Like I was cranking out videos every single week. I was confident, I was confident, I was confident, I was confident. And then I was like, cool, I'm launching Crucible. Now I'm not so confident, right? It can change over time. It doesn't matter. But you just need to make sure that it's something that you can be working on within that time frame and be good at. Does that help? Sweet. All right, so what if you're at level 2? Calories and macronutrients. So that means you're not at the habit level. You've already sustained some habits, you're pretty good, you just need to turn it up a little bit more. Sweet, let's talk about that. So determining your calories, right? Hit me up and I will help you on that. There's also plenty of algorithms on there, but it's really gonna come down to determining your body type, determining your activity level, kind of where you're at on that, determining some age factors. Like we wanna make sure it's within a good, healthy parameter that's not gonna be like too low. Like you're pretty much gonna take your body weight and multiply it by either like 12, 13, or 14, but I wanna just give you that. So hit me up, I'm happy to help you for free on that. Like it's not a problem, okay? So that's why I have that line. But then you're gonna determine like for your macros, and this is a pretty easy thing to start gearing in because a lot of people have used things like My Macros Plus or MyFitnessPal and kind of looked at some stuff that way. But to determine your macros, you're gonna look at your body type. So let's look at the 3 different body types. You kind of have the ectomorph, which is the I type, right? So it's the person who's just naturally lean. Like maybe they're carrying some more weight in certain areas, the belly might stick out or whatever the case may be. They may even be like that skinny fat, right? But they're just naturally like more tall and straight up and down lean, right? Then you have the mesomorph, which is the person who has a little bit more shoulders. They're more V-shaped, okay? And then you have the endomorph, which is a little more O-shaped or pear-shaped, right? And their images probably could be expanded and contracted even more based on wherever. And the thing is, you could change, right? So somebody who could have been a mesomorph in high school as a football all-star could be an endomorph now, right? And then start like just running and cycling and swimming and just doing all this cardio, even lose all that muscle mass that they once had, and now they're an ectomorph. Right? So you can kind of change over time, but you kind of look at where your body's at now. And most people honestly fall in more that like either up and down ectomorph or endomorph for the most part. You probably already know just based on that. So you're like, so where do I fall and what do I do? Well, once you figured out kind of where you're at, you're gonna go off of percentages. And this is where like having an actual coach for something like this is more strategic and helps and makes a big difference, okay? But for someone who's an ectomorph, that more skinny type, you're gonna need more carbohydrates because you're trying to actually build muscle. Like the carbs actually are gonna help you build muscle mass, right? And you probably don't need as much protein or fat. So they're gonna get much higher. 50% carbs, 25% protein, 25% fat. The V is gonna wanna like continue to build muscle, but without like starting to gain too much fat. So we're gonna cut down a little bit on the carbs, and we're gonna wanna maintain joint health. So we're gonna keep the fats up. So we're gonna go 40, 30, 30. Yeah, if this is like flying over your head, we should probably be still at the habit phase. So don't freak out or hit me up. We'll talk, okay? And then the O type, less carbohydrates. Really don't need that much, but your hormones are possibly out of whack since maybe we've had a lot of insulin type stuff going on, right? And some things are happening, maybe way too much leptin in your system. And so because of that, fats are actually where we can start to regulate hormones. So we need to keep more fats within your system. So the healthy fats are good for you in that case if you're there. So that's where you can enjoy a little bit more of that. But you definitely got to have the most protein possible because we're trying to like maintain any muscle mass that you have without it dropping. Like the Oprah Paradox, we're trying to not drop off that muscle mass as you continue to lose weight, right? And so our carbs are going to be lower because you have more stuff to burn just with where you're at currently at this stage in your life, okay? So, thing is, calories determine weight, macronutrients determine body composition. It's a little phrase I actually really love. Because a lot of people think like, yeah, it's just calories in, calories out. In essence, it's true. If you just want to drop weight, right, you could just cut all your calories down. But eventually you can't cut anymore. And eventually then you'll spike back up, and we already know what'll happen. But it's your macronutrients, it's these breakdowns of understanding, which is actually regulated in the other section of habits. If you're following all of them, once you get to the level you're following all of them at a time, you'll be okay, promise, right? And that's where you're gonna be just fine. But that's what determines your body composition. So that's where we're fine tuning. So with someone like that wants to like build up, we're good. Someone that wants to maintain strength in certain areas, that's where we can start to play a little bit more once you've dropped that first level, okay? You ready to take something away from all that? Cool. So remember, my goal is for you today, leave with one step that you will actually take action on. So this is where I challenge you to actually write that down now. Just think back. All right, so maybe for you, it was simply doing that little homework assignment of when I'm triggered and I crave salty stuff, what am I going to replace in that habit loop? Like I said, that's probably the best thing for you, right? Or when I want to punch someone in the face, I'm going to walk outside so I don't end up in prison, right? Whatever it is, I promise you that will get you more than anything else. And just remember, you're not your brain, you're not your thoughts, right? So I want you to say, I'm awesome, and I'm going to upgrade my awesome. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
I'm awesome, and I'm going to upgrade my awesome.
Let's try that again. I'm awesome, and I'm so fucking awesome. Really? I know it's the end, but damn. All right, 1, 2, 3. I'm awesome. I'm gonna upgrade my awesome. There you go. Wasn't that better? That's cute. All right, guys. Remember, you're awesome. You gonna upgrade your awesome. Have a great weekend. Peace be the journey. Have a good one.